Hey, what's going on, off 199th fans? It's your boy, Music Nerd, and here's my reaction to the football weekend that was this one. All right, so first things first, Miami Hurricanes moved to 9-0, beating Duke 53-31, and second things second, the Dolphins moved to 2-6 after losing to the Bills. So let's talk about the worst part first. So let's talk about the Dolphins. So the Dolphins once again had a lead. Going into halftime was up 10-6, 10-3, was playing pretty well, was getting turnovers, was able to kind of dictate a little bit of the gameplay in the first half, but then in the second half gave up some big plays and was not able to really get back into it. Also, Mostert once again lost the fumble, and we gave up a little bit of some big plays on defense again. And Miami just wasn't really able to get over the hump. Once again, not scoring above 27. So one stat that was very disturbing to me was that Miami was the only team that had not scored 100 points yet through the first 8 weeks of the season. And we passed that now, but this was a team that scored 70 points in one game last year. Um, I mean, even with Tua being out, and it's like what has happened to this offense and where is everything that can be. So, I mean, first things first, you're not getting the ball to Jalen Waddle enough. He had 2 catches for a touchdown and -4 yards. And while the touchdown was huge, it ties the game at the end of it. But that's just not enough for your second best playmaker. Tyreek Hill, only 4 catches for 80 yards. Once again, that's not enough for your biggest playmaker. I love the fact that we're able to get the ball to Achane. Achane is a good player. He's a great player. But Achane shouldn't be leading this team in receptions. I don't care how you're covering Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle. I know that you have to take what the defense gives you at a certain point, but schemes have got to be made to get these guys the ball. Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill cannot combine for 4 catches for 76 yards. That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. And I know they used Odell Beckham Jr. a little bit more today, but they still need to use him a little bit more. And I think the defense has done all this can. I really feel like the defense carried this team through the first 7 weeks, and but we had to play complementary football, and right now I don't think Miami is. Of course, 27 points the last 2 weeks would have been great. Earlier down the road when the defense was playing a little bit better, but now you have to. Now that there's tape on you, you have to play better. You're playing better offensive teams. You're playing a little bit better offensive schemes, so things like that are going to happen. So I think that Miami right now it's a little bit lost. You're 2-6 through 8 weeks. How are you going to respond? I know Tyreek Hill said they have to run the table to get to the playoffs, and he's probably right. You got 9 games left. It's going to probably take 11 wins to get to the playoffs in AFC. But looking at Miami's schedule, and I mean, there's a lot of winnable games here, but you got to play the Packers, the Texans, the 49ers on your way to end the season. So winning 2 of those games would be excellent, honestly. Now you got to win all three, and you got to win the rest of your games. You can't slip up once. That's a tough task to do. Even with everything that's happened, I was hoping Miami could be 5-3 at this point, so they could have a little wiggle room going into the second half. But now you have no room for error, and now you have to keep going. So I don't know this team. I mean, you got to really reevaluate some things, and we'll talk about that on the podcast this week. We'll be all new this weekend, so we'll expand a little bit more onto that. But my reaction right now is just kind of disappointment. I thought Miami would be a lot better than this. Even with the injuries, I thought that we had enough where we could make a real run. And right now, it's not looking like it. Now, hopefully, I eat my words. Hopefully, Miami turns around and starts this epic winning streak. And we're all talking about where we were at when they were 2-6, and we're like, "Oh, I was so wrong. This and that." I will have no problem doing that. I have no problem eating that crow. But right now, it just seems like we're kind of asking the question: why can't the Dolphins and the Hurricanes be good at the same time? So, speaking of which, moving on, the number 5 Hurricanes defeated the Blue Devils 53-31 yesterday behind 400 yards from Cam Ward, 146 yards from Xavier Restrepo, and about 150 rushing yards, and some timely defensive plays with 4 turnovers forced. So, getting into it. A lot of my keys to the game was starting fast, controlling the line of scrimmage on both sides, and limiting the big plays. We kind of did all of that, but also didn't do that at all as well. Um, it's tough to say that a game that you win when you're playing a Power Four conference opponent, that you win by 22 points, that you didn't play well and you should have won by a lot more. But to be real, Miami should have won this game by a lot more. Rewatching it, I do like how Miami started the game off. Once again, the same way they started off against Florida State, kind of punch him in the mouth, mixing it up. I mean, not really mixing it up. They started the game off with 6 straight passes, but it was RPOs, and they were taking what the defense was giving him. Duke, like, really for me was surprised. I guess they kind of stacked up to try to stop the run because they know they're weak at it. So they gave Cam Ward, who was the best quarterback in the nation, bar none, the pass. And I don't think he really want to do that, but they did. And I think that's what kind of set the tone for the game. So I think Miami took it. But even that being said, going 7-0 nothing before we get to what Duke did to make it close. Miami really should have been up 28 nothing, in my opinion. Some drop passes, some missed reads. I feel like Cam Ward being a little bit inaccurate. And then, also Xavier Restrepo with some drops and Jacoby George as well with a couple drops. Like one, George, he's going to drop the ball every now and then, but Restrepo is as short-handed as they come. I never thought I would be on here and be like, hey, he had 4 drops in a game. Especially in the game where he, set the record for receiving yards in a career. Like, congratulations to him, by the way. But also, he didn't have his best game, and I'm saying that after he had 8 catches for 146 yards. So when you look at what Miami did defensively, I thought they came out very well. They played really well. This is great third down defense. It's one of the best in the country. They only give up 23% on third down. It's like really the damage that gets done to this, the defense is on first and second down. They give up their big plays then. For me, I'm one thing they need to do. They need to shore up the defensive line pressure. We need to start getting sacks again to help out the secondary, because the secondary got torched again. Malik Murphy is a good passer. He has a good skill, so he's a very skilled player. But there is no reason why he should have set career highs against Miami. I think that Miami is good enough to do that, especially in a game where he threw 3 interceptions and actually had another fumble as well. I mean, he had his best statistical game, and that's just concerning. I think Duke did a good job of mixing up some of their play calls when it came to it. They used Miami's aggressiveness against them, but sometimes it was just like straight up concept. Like, for the life of me, I don't know why Gedrick keeps putting Kiko Malinois on islands against running backs and tight ends. He's solid. He has good coverall instincts, but he is not fast enough to cover a running back in space. The reason why they got to 14-14 is because they put him out there and had the running back run and go, and they were able to get a 50-yarder over Molly Gold because of the concept, and there was no safety up top. How does that happen? That cannot happen, in my opinion. I think you have to go back to the drawing board, look at some tape, and look at that. I mean, that's not good enough. That's not going to get a cut. And I know I may be nitpicking because Miami was able to go to 9-0, and they played lights out in the second half. They went on a 36-3 run to get the score to 53-31, and they played well there. But Duke should not score 31 points. This Duke offense is not good enough to score 31 points against this defense, even as holy as this defense has been. And once again, also another note, Miami has played 8 games, and 7 of the opponents have given up season high in points and yards to Miami. The only team that didn't was Florida State. So looking at that, I'm just really kind of disappointed in it, but also encouraged because I know that Miami can grow, and maybe that the coaches will be able to use this as a turning point. And so we're hoping for the best. OJ Frederick is amazing. Jadon Searcher was playing very well, I felt, before his injury, and prayers up to him. I'm so sorry to hear that. But also that's another thing that we're thin at. So now Daryl Porter's probably gonna have to go to the outside, a corner. They're probably gonna have to bring somebody down to be nickel. Maybe they move Diane Hill over, which I do not hope he struggles a bit. I mean, they're all getting valuable playing time and everything like that, but these guys have got to tighten up. Like, fact of the matter is, like I said, you're going to November, you're undefeated in a Power 4 conference, you're competing for a national championship. Miami, Indiana, Penn State, they lost yesterday, Oregon, you're competing for a national championship now. Everything matters more, so you're going to get nitpicked. Miami's going to get nitpicked to death because that's how we are. We expect excellence. That's what has been. That's what this fan base has been pining for almost 25 years. So are we going to see it? Is Miami going to be able to make enough adjustments to win in November and December and hopefully in January? So we're going to see. And we're going to talk about it a little bit more in the podcast this weekend. We'll be back hopefully Hopefully, y'all see it this weekend, and we'll talk about the state of college football in Florida. We'll talk about Miami season, the Dolphins season, the start for the Heat as well. So, thank y'all so much for listening to my reactions. We will see y'all soon. Y'all have a good one. Enjoy your November.